Free.
Yeah, I got coffee. I'll go grab. Thanks.
Yep.
Are you gonna connect?
Not yet. Use mirror or extend display. Mirror it. There we go. Under the YouTube link. This is live on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're live.
Yes. Just. We don't know.
It might be better with that platform.
Same.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Yep.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Mentor Agile podcast. I am your host Akbar Khan. Joining me is my co-host Nabil Khan. Nabil, how are you feeling?
Doing all right. How are you, man?
Doing good. Doing good. Joining us today we have Rebecca. Rebecca, how are you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Doing good. It's so nice to have you on the podcast, Rebecca.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I like to just jump right into things. Now, Rebecca, you have a wealth of experience in the IT space. Do you want to just kind of walk us through the last couple of years, what that's looked like for you?
So as you know, probably from my resume, I was in banking for most of my life. And towards the end, people don't really realize this, but in banking, your credit is very dependent on your position. So I went through a divorce and was forced into taking a lower paying position, unfortunately, within banking. Um, and so I sat in a branch in Florida and we had a lot of snowbirds. So it was like during the summertime, there's no one there. You see the same two customers repeatedly. And so I had a client that I used to like chat with, and he was an IT architect. And he told me about, the BA roles and all these like plans he had for this company he was going to set up where he was going to train people and then place them, take a portion of their salary. And that was his business model. And I was like, that's really cool that you have, that you're going to make money doing that. A lot of people start a business with no guarantee. So, what's stopping you? And he was from Chennai, India. And so he had a very strong accent and he wasn't very, let's just say, confident in like business situations at all. He was very good as an IT architect, but not so good with the people. So I basically was like, well, if I had free time and I learned a little bit, can I help you with your company? And so I eventually ended up retiring from banking. I sat in the branch and took Udemy and Coursera and basically looked at our systems from a like architecture standpoint of things that were driving me crazy because I came from Chase, which has the best systems, to a much smaller bank that had like mainframe systems still that they were using. And so I literally sat in there and built what I think would be a better system and trained myself. And so I moved up to Chicago
Mhm.
and we specialized in MuleSoft and Salesforce, both
Mhm.
API heavy. APIs just for Salesforce are just like connectors and things. But MuleSoft actually I think got bought by Salesforce recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But we launched and we had a really, really good run. We targeted people that had previous Java experience and trained them on MuleSoft because it's the same concepts basically, object-oriented programming. And we were very successful, but we got to a point where I wanted to do like more quantity and he wanted to do more quality. So he wanted to like only recruit IT architects, but to find someone that is a Java architect and try and convince them to leave a job is very hard to do.
Right.
So he wanted a much smaller, like boutique type of experience. I was seeing, more boot camps, more STEM programs for kids, things like that. And also, I grew up in foster care. So I never got a chance to go to college. And
Mhm.
so I think one of the big things that I wanted to do at the company was training, kids that are aging out of foster care in something where they have guaranteed income. But that's
Right.
my big that's my little spiel of how I got into it.
No, that is honestly amazing because you're coming from such a unique perspective, and enrolling in this program, right? A lot of people that we have, they come from different backgrounds in IT, whether they have some experience, whether they have technical experience, but you've really seen the full picture. You know, you've seen the technical side, you have seen the project management BA side, and now you've even seen how traditional boot camps run, right? Where they take traditionally a boot camp, how it runs is, they'll sign you on and then they'll take a portion of your salary after you land a position, right? Like
Correct.
that's just the
Yeah.
name of the game. That's how things usually are. But um, your background gives you such a unique leg up in the industry because you've seen all aspects, and I just find it very cool that you've done all this.
Yeah, and I honestly, the thing I liked about IT is it's very cut and dry, like banking is, but there's a lot of gray area to play. And in banking, you're selling, your main job is really to sell people, but it's like trying to juggle while wearing a straitjacket. You can't say certain things, you can't do certain things. So it's very ethical. And I liked how cut and dry IT was in that I'm an artist by nature. I loved creating diagrams because to me it was a very visual, process. And teaching other people through diagramming was one of my favorite things to do. I actually didn't know originally when we very first started the company what role I was going to play. So I actually started off as a MuleSoft developer and took all of the trails for that one and also for Salesforce. So I got into it and actually understood from a development standpoint what it looks like. Was an XML packet look like? What does an envelope look like? What is a enterprise service bus actually? What does it look like on a screen where I can see it? Get put all of those things. We went over all of that in great detail because of MuleSoft. So when I got used to it and I could do the work, but I absolutely hated it. It was busy work to me, and MuleSoft had bugs all over the place. So you could work on a problem for a month and then they would do an update and it immediately fixed it. And you wasted all this time on these developers sitting there twiddling their thumbs essentially. So I got to the point where I was throwing a laptop across the room. So I was like, I'm not a good, I'm not a good developer. So I started getting more into the BA program, and we had a lot of people that had some like Java experience, but they weren't really strong enough to become developers for MuleSoft. So we kind of put them on a technical BA path, and I actually taught those classes myself. So,
That's fantastic. And I know this is the first time that we're speaking, but I've heard amazing things about you, and now I
oh,
see
thank you.
why. One thing I
Thanks.
have to definitely commend is the autodidactic nature, right? That you weren't scared that you haven't done it before, but rather like having that self confidence. Hey, I know I can go on Udemy. I know I can go, get that knowledge. If someone else could do it, why can't I? Right? A lot of
Right,
people we find, unfortunately, they're dealing with a lot of like self doubt or putting themselves kind of in a box that I studied X, so therefore these are the only options available for me in life. When
right,
you're a living testament, and it's what we preach all the time that that's absolutely not the case, right? You could have studied like, for example, my major and my whole degrees in theology, Akbar's in pre med, in med
wow,
and
yeah,
whatnot. So we are also living testaments of that. That you're not defined necessarily by what you studied for a few years. You can go into a totally different field and dominate in that field. And the beautiful thing is that I studied in what I was passionate about, and the fact that you're able to get a good, high-paying, stable position, you're then able to go ahead and explore those passions because you
right.
have the time and the feasibility to do so, right?
I deal with
Whereas,
what's they call it imposter syndrome, I guess is kind of what
yes,
you're referring to,
100%,
right?
yeah, 100%, yeah. That really kills people, especially, one is it doesn't allow them to start. Okay,
Right,
but then another thing is once they start, it doesn't go away. It's like that, it just lives on your shoulder always because when the interview comes around, then we see people starting to suffer, right? Big time with
right,
imposter syndrome. And that's why we made it like a conscious effort. We know our people are going to be getting interviews because our people are good. The resumes are good. All of that's great. Now, what
right,
can we do? Like we thought to ourselves, Akbar and I, like we see our friends, we see our family, they suffer from this type of imposter syndrome. They know all their stuff. Literally, they're speaking to us. They know it verbatim. But now when they're
right,
in front of an interviewer, it goes all out the window, right? So that's kind of how Akbar and I, after brainstorming, we decided, hey, not only are we going to have those pre-recorded lectures and whatnot, but the live classes that we hold are going to be literal workshops where you are doing the exact same work that you're going to be doing on the field. So
Well, I'd
this
say
way,
it like this. My biggest character flaw is that I think that I can, given enough time, I can learn how to do anything.
yeah,
It's not
100%. I'm
arrogance.
with
I
you.
just believe that. I totally
Yeah,
do. Until I fail at
that's
it enough,
amazing.
I believe it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I feel like it serves you to believe that. I feel like it serves you
Right.
well to believe that, you know. So that's one amazing thing. Another thing is that you know, we're finding, like you mentioned a really great point. You mentioned there's certain individuals that maybe they're technically inclined, but they're not strong enough that they're going to be a dev, or they're not passionate enough that they're going to go into
Right.
development, right? But a person like that is very well suited to go into like a technical product owner or product manager role, where your knowledge or fluency is going to be welcome, because
Right.
you don't have to worry. You're not going you are never going to be the one expected to do the implementation. You're never going to be the one expected to write the code. But the
Right.
fact that you have some technical, you know, inclination, or something like that, that definitely makes you well suited for the job, for the highest echelon of pay, the more
Well, a lot
technical
of the
aspect.
baseline programming now can be done by ChatGPT. So it's very,
100%.
it's sad that a lot of people have wasted a lot of time and money on things are going to be irrelevant in just a few years. They kind of already are,
You're
unfortunately.
speaking my language, Rebecca. That's that's literally what I
That's,
do
well, I
day
took a
and
little
night.
time off. I had a baby, so I've been off for I guess a year solid, and
Yeah,
so like I said to you, a year in tech is like 10 years. Sometimes you got
yeah,
to catch up on what you don't know, and especially AI moved so much faster than I thought it was going to. I
absolutely.
really am shocked how fast it went.
And if
Yeah,
anyone wants a test, if anyone doesn't believe what Rebecca is saying or what I'm saying, that as a non-developer you can do amazing things without writing a single line of code, I would urge you go to mentoragile.com. Like type in www.mentoragile.com. That entire website was made by Claude Code. I didn't write a single line of code, but all the
right,
effects, 3Js, it's a Next.js application, all of that cool stuff, the database. Not only that, configuring the server, giving
right.
the AI access to be able to go onto the server. It has my Cloudflare, it has my server. It's able to do all the configurations because I don't know any of that stuff, nor do I need to, because we're
Wow,
living in an era that's past needing a networking specialist and needing a this specialist and that specialist. At this point, honestly, I think history is to be made by those that can jump onto this wave early enough to ride it. You know?
absolutely, I agree with you 100%. AI is a tool right now. It's not going to replace everybody, but you have to know how to use it. Or
Absolutely.
people that are just completely in there's a lot of people that are just in denial about what's going to be happening over the next 5 years. There's going to be a lot of jobs lost, a lot.
And
So you have
you'd
to
be
make the
surprised.
top of that.
Akbar, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well. But at least in my experience, like, you know, working in corporate and whatnot, senior, you know, I was a senior AI product manager and a senior product owner. And in both scenarios, I found developers giving a lot of pushback, because just
Right.
because you're a developer doesn't mean you're hip with the latest technology that's coming out. There's actually a lot of trepidation. People don't want to accept it and whatnot. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. So one of the last contracts I was working on, it was for a company out in Colorado. They basically came out and said they are not hiring any more developers anymore. All they're going to hire on is a batch of junior devs and teach them Claude Code and teach them how to
Oh my
code with
God.
AI.
Wow.
And they were at the front lines, and all the developers were freaking out because, and rightfully so. Like if you're a senior dev there
Yeah.
and you're not climbing up the ladder, going into the product space, you're kind of done,
Right, right,
you know?
And a lot
So
of,
yeah.
unfortunately, developers don't have any interpersonal skills. That's why they're more
Yep.
technical, good at that part of the work. But they're going to have to evolve as quickly as the code is evolving for, AI programs and all those open APIs are, it's evolving so fast.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. I think about it actually.
I think when people think of tech, they only think of hard skills, which is not the case. You need to know soft skills. You need to know communication. You need to have organization. You need to be able to plan a roadmap. You need to be able to speak on KPIs that are important to the stakeholders. And if you can't do that, you're in trouble, right? If you don't
Well, you
have
have
those communication skills. Yeah.
You have to tailor your approach to whoever you're talking to. And that's one thing with banking that really taught me is that I dealt with everyone from all different backgrounds, people that were, taking out payday loans all the way up to people who were millionaires.
Mhm.
And my approach with each client is extremely, extremely different. They're all their own project, if you want to look at it that way. But that's another reason I liked becoming a business analyst and things, or a project manager, is you can take information and put it into, some people need to see it, they need a visual diagram, some people need to hear it, some people just need user requirements written down in very clear English, and they do well with that. But you have to know and be able to read that and tell, if this person's an engineer, for instance, I would get into a lot more technical things with them if I'm talking about investments. If they're just there, a trust fund kid, they just want to invest something, make them money, it's a very quick interaction and you're in and out. So it really trained me ahead of time to learn how to deal with stakeholders, because a lot of those people were my clients long before I'm in IT, I was their banker. So when I left banking, my last position was a private client branch manager. So even though it was like a lower paying position, it was a smaller bank, it was technically a higher position than I had at Chase. So
Right.
I was concentrated wealth in Marco Island, Florida, and everyone retires there. We had everyone from Michael Collins, who's like a Apollo 11 astronaut, to Toby Keith that was there. And we had people that were just, like I said, trust fund kids that just would come there to play all summer or all winter. So it was another, how do I say, learning experience that way too.
Right.
Yeah,
A
we
lot of them are
definitely.
small business owners, which I didn't mean to give away too many information, but that's the reason I became so successful, was because how strong I was on operations too. I was not only just a good salesperson, but business banking is extremely technical, and not everyone can open those accounts without getting flagged and audited and having them closed down. So I started specializing in that, and that gave me a lot of access to people that had companies who were, CFOs or COOs or whatever the case might be. But learning how to talk on that level with people is something I had to learn. Even when I
Absolutely.
was at the top of my game
Yeah.
as a banker, I was still in my mid 20s, and I was like, I'm and giving these people advice. I'm 25, and then they're in their 70s. I would get so nervous. I used to almost throw up every day before I walked in, even though I was doing great and sales numbers were there. That anxiety was still there because I felt the imposter syndrome pulling through.
Absolutely.
Like, do I really deserve this? Do I really earn this? You
Right.
know.
Right.
So
The thing is, I think, and what we teach is obviously it's called stakeholder management. That's the same concept,
right,
right?
an
And
analysis.
and
Yeah.
yeah, analysis and understanding who you're speaking to, what's an appropriate way to engage with them. And we found that the only way, like, we haven't found that there's necessarily a shortcut to it. It's more
Mhm.
so just putting yourself in as many situations as possible where you have to flex that muscle, because it's muscle
Right.
memory, right? That once you've used it enough and you've kind of ingrained it, those paths have now been ingrained in your mind. Now, whenever you're in a situation, you it comes naturally to you. You can assess, you can deal with it, and whatnot. So
Well, I
yeah,
have a whiteboard I keep next to my desk, because for
yeah,
me, I have to visually lay it out for myself to understand it.
yeah.
And I had to go back over SOAP and REST APIs, and I did the entire, thread of how things communicate, to remember how
Yeah, yeah,
how they, XML and JSON, how that gets converted through gateways. And I had to remember all
yeah.
of the, HTTPs and HTTPS. And I was just put down as much as I could remember before I started Googling. And my memory was actually, I recalled so much more than I thought I would. But having just a blank space to work is hugely helpful.
I just want to give a quick disclaimer to anyone that's watching on whichever platform that, Rebecca is talking about terms that are technical terms that are going to be very familiar to you once you're in the industry, because these
Very
are
true.
not overly complex or complicated things. But I know when you hear it for the first time, sometimes it could feel overwhelming, right? But just know
Absolutely.
that any term, like technical term and whatnot, anytime someone hears something new for the first time, there's a little bit of trepidation. But being in the industry, it's not like there's a million different or a whole encyclopedia of terms you need to know. There's only a
Well,
few
it also
things you
depends
need
on
to know.
what sector you're planning on being in. I really, because I'm
Exactly.
in Chicago, the RPA
Yeah.
and that entire thing with AI and processing on automation of processes
Yep.
is where I want to focus. So you have to be very,
Yeah.
very technically minded, be able to write
Correct.
those kind of requirements to deal with those
Correct.
stakeholders. But if you're in, like, let's say medical, it's a
Yeah.
completely different game. So it really depends on where you're going to focus. And for me personally, my goal is to be an AI technical program manager eventually. That's the
Hmm.
end goal. So you have to really, with as fast as AI is going, you have to know more than the average person.
Right. 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 And I'm going to have to step away, and I'll let Akbar take it from here. But I just wanted to make one last point that Rebecca, honestly, I mean, I know you have like a keen specialization in APIs and whatnot. And
Mhm.
in my approximation, this is your time to shine. Because a person that understands how to utilize AI well and has good knowledge of APIs, now you don't just have something that's intelligent and is able to speak to you, give you advice and whatnot, but now you have something that's able to actually enact change in different applications. So
Well,
the first thing I do before whenever I start a project is, hey, what are all the different things that I needed to do? Let me get all the tokens and all the API keys and put it in a .env file. You get what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Because now I don't just have a cool chatbot. Now I have an agent that can actually do things on different platforms. So
That's awesome.
really, really looking forward to you joining. Really exciting. So if you would please excuse me, I'll let Upper take it
Oh,
from here. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
So Rebecca, I wanted to ask you more so right now. We're hoping to get you started with Mentor Agile in the next few weeks, right? And for those of you who don't know, Rebecca is going through the WIOA program, and we talk about WIOA on this channel all the time. It's a great program for individuals to get back into, into the workforce because Rebecca, you took some time off. And
Mhm.
the best thing about this is that it is absolutely 100% covered. There is zero cost with it. What made you kind of look at our program and kind of, turn that light bulb on?
I think the fact that you guys are doing product ownership with the AI is huge. There's other companies aren't even talking about AI, and a lot of things are going to change. I think most project managers are going to become product owners. It's going to change over time just because the processes are changing so fast.
Absolutely.
Especially development isn't as complicated. The easier development gets, the less work there's going to be,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. I,
So
I
I think
100, yeah.
AI, I really want to understand not the technicalities of it, but prompting. Also, machine learning is something I'm studying right now too,
That's
to see
awesome.
how it still blows my mind. I want to see code for it. I need to look at
Right.
that next, and to see how it's actually talking. But
Right.
overall, it's very, very neat.
It's a
AI,
really,
and also
yeah.
there's supposed to be like Amazon and all these companies were investing in AI technologies, and Amazon actually got caught that their marketplaces or whatever, they said that where you could just like walk out and everything would scan. It came out that there's no APIs. It was people in India doing remote
Yeah.
cashiering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, so we have a lot of job security. I think we'll be okay. We actually know what we're doing.
There's like an inside joke in tech that AI stands for actually Indians, people
Yeah, I
overseas.
know
Yeah.
it.
Doing the work. It's
Uh,
it's yeah. Tech is a pretty funny field when you think about it sometimes. But well, I wanted to go back to a point that you said. You had mentioned that you feel like project managers are going to start gearing towards becoming product owners and product managers. I would
right.
say this is happening now. And I would
Because
say
everyone has their own AI built. They don't want to, buy something else usually.
exactly. And in my career, I have seen the shift. I've seen the shift of BAs, Scrum Masters, and PMs kind of,
Merging.
fade away and move towards product owners, product managers, especially. And if you don't believe me, right, I always like to verify things. If you just go on LinkedIn and you're in Chicago, go on LinkedIn, search up business analyst, you'll see maybe about 100 jobs, right? You search
Oh,
up
on the market report to find for Illinois, they're not even listed anymore. Like you can't
yeah,
find business
that's the
as a
that's
position. Yeah,
right. The only people hiring for business analysts are some medical industries, not all, some, or you have the third party recruiting tech companies, right? Like Tech Systems, Infosys,
yeah,
Sogeti, companies like these where they're and actually, they're kind of like a consulting company, right?
exactly. Yeah. Well, a lot
But
of them have such good systems that they need a waterfall model. If you're still working with mainframe, agile is actually not. I wouldn't recommend agile if you have
right,
like that basic a system to start with, and that's a lot of medical. A lot of them,
yeah,
unfortunately. You're like,
because you have the red tape, right? You have the red tape around the industry. Unless you're like a small startup medical company that's just getting off the ground, you're going to see agile. But these traditional medical companies, yeah, you're right, 100%. They're all geared towards waterfall.
absolutely, I totally agree with that. And honestly, that's when I was looking at the PMI certifications. The ones that I used to have were more. They were actually more geared towards waterfall, like the Lean Six Sigma and all of those.
Yep,
They're good
yep,
to
yep, yep.
have, But honestly, the reason they're not offering PMI doesn't offer them anymore is it's not a common, there's not enough waterfall projects for people to train in that anymore.
And I wish more people understood this, especially, the job centers, right? Where they're kind of operating off information from 10 to 15 years ago, right? Where they're talking
Yeah.
about Lean Sigma 6, as you mentioned, business
Yeah.
analysts, this and that. No one is talking about AI, and AI is here. And if you're not, if you're not at the forefront, you're gonna get caught behind everybody.
Well, some people can't connect what they've learned as Lean Six Sigma and then apply it to tools. Like they understand it, but they don't actually know how to make their own business more efficient or their own projects more efficient. They just get
Right.
the certification and they don't really understand how to practice it 100%.
Right.
So
Right.
it lost value because of that too, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's just I think the revolution is here. I think the last couple of years, product owners and product managers were it was definitely a more of a hidden niche where not too many people knew about it in the
Right.
industry. But now it's kind of at the forefront. OpenAI has product manager positions starting at $450,000,
I
right?
saw
And
that.
yeah, that's insane, right? That's $500,000 salary for a product manager at OpenAI. So if OpenAI, the leading company in AI, is hiring for product managers, what does that say about the role itself, right? The value of the role.
Absolutely. I think the new thing is going to be everyone's going to have their own AI that's going to be what they make money off of. It's not going to be APIs anymore. APIs are a part of the ecosystem, but
You're right.
they're not going to be monetized like they were before. So,
You're absolutely right. It's going to be AI agents, and we keep hearing this, right? AI agents is a new wave. Your agent
and
can
learning how
do.
to train those is so funny. I play with all different ones, and you can ask it for fitness tips, and you can tell where it's pulling from based on what it tells you. Like
Yeah.
it'll put out of date information sometimes, like 1950s, just eat less calories and do this
Right.
to
Right.
be the
Right.
perfect weight. And then other ones are a lot more like complicated and explaining how you do that with macro eating or all these different things. But it's funny to see how like some bias and things, some of the some of the bad stuff is actually coming through in AI too. It's
Yeah.
kind of I find
It
bias stuff growing all the time. It's funny.
right, and that also highlights the importance of prompting, right? Like,
Yes,
what are
exactly.
you putting in the prompts, and how are you writing your prompts to get the answer that you want specifically? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. That's a whole science for now. That's going to get shorter over time though too. Even as AI gets more intelligent, even prompting will be less and less. It's crazy how
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. The speed of AI has, I think it's completely taken everybody by surprise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thought they're already having the issue. My first thought, I've actually worked for a hardware company too, so I understand like fiber optic networks and data centers. But my thought process was where they have all these data centers is going to support this, and they're
Right.
building them like crazy right now in Illinois. You guys probably know that all over the place.
Yeah, we actually
What?
had one of our alumni students. He just got a job for at Microsoft's data center right here in Illinois.
Oh, wow, nice.
So it was
Yeah, I
awesome.
worked
Yeah.
in Schaumburg right after COVID. Right
Okay.
after I
Nice.
left Complex, I worked for them for a little while and learned all of
Nice.
the hardware stuff, which is it's so funny that I have both sides now. But yeah,
Yeah.
it actually helps. It helps quite a bit because some of the projects you're going to go into, they might be switching. A lot of them are switching from cloud or on-site servers to cloud anyway. So you
Right.
need to understand, even as a PM, a little bit about how that works hardware-wise too.
Right. All
So
right.
it
All
was a
right.
good talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining on the podcast. We really
Exciting.
appreciate the input. I'm super excited to get you started up in the next week or so and have you join our cohort. It's going to be an awesome time. I think you are absolutely the star-studded student I have ever seen. Even before you joined the class, like you know your stuff, so I'm super excited to be working with you.
I'm excited. I'm so excited to be going back to work. I love being a mommy, but I'm over being at home.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
I hear
Well,
you.
thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It was a pleasure.